with us today. Vamos a empezar la grabación. We're going to start the recording so that those who have appointments and such can watch later. Y bienvenidos, bienvenidas a todos. ¿Y cómo están todos? ¿Bien? ¿Están bien?
Bien, gracias.
Bien, ok. Excelente. Vamos a practicar hoy. Vamos a practicar muchísimo con cambios de raíz. We're going to practice a lot with those stem changers, as we did last week, but lots of different types of practice. We're going to do some listening comprehension as well. I do want to ask in a really general way as our very first question. I know I gave you some general videos to watch about that troublesome word, yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah is not really something I can set up a lot of practice because it would be kind of artificial because it means so many things. And it really does depend on the situation. But I hope you did notice from those little videos that the meaning of ya sometimes changes a little bit with the tense that is used. So if somebody uses it with a past tense, and I know most of you don't use past tense because you haven't seen it, then it will change to already with past, right?
Comprendo.
Ya comprendo. Yeah. But you really, with you have to go with the flow. But is there any kind of a question after watching that video or both those videos on what we mean or any questions on yeah? Because yeah really does depend on the context. Any questions on that? And it's not going to be like immediately all those things click in, but yeah really does more. Oh, Tomás?
So we heard a whole bunch of meanings. Is there any way we could use it wrong? I mean,
wow.
We heard how to use it right in a lot of different contexts.
Buena pregunta. Yeah,
if you just kind of threw it in all the time, or eventually found a rhythm, would we be flubbing something up?
Well, no, I don't think you would flub anything up with yeah. No, probably not.
I saw some video. A video popped up after I watched one of yours about using ya versus todavía, and I thought, oh, I'll watch this, and I thought, oh, this is over my head.
There
are ways to use it wrong. But
yeah, I didn't want to go there because it starts to get a little complicated with that. No, I would say this: the really important thing to know about ya is that A, it has a lot of meanings, and B, listen for the tone of voice. Listen for the tone of voice, somebody, because that tone of voice will be very similar to things we do with English with tone of voice when we want to convey a meaning, If somebody's like, yeah, probably you want to stop what you're doing. Right? Yeah, ya comí, I already ate with a past thing, right? Vamos, ya, right?
Go.
They're telling you, speed it up. They're telling you to stop sometimes. They're telling you speed it up. Let's do it already. So really, I think for you guys, Tomás, with your question, the understanding if people are asking you to pick up the pace,
right,
or to not go there, or we're doing it now, is important. So it's more of a thing of understanding the idea somebody is conveying to you rather than you will flub it up. Yeah. It's one of those
it's confusing things. When you say yeah, but it means no.
Yeah, well, yeah. And actually a lot of times ja is paired up with no, right? Ja no is not any longer. So if ja is standing without the no, it's a little bit easier to understand than the ya no. Ya no is not anymore. Not anymore. Ya no. Okay. It means that something does not happen anymore when you pair it up with no. So that's probably an important thing to remember. But there aren't really any drills I can give you. You have to kind of go with the flow and listen for the context of everything else in those pieces of communication.
But yeah can be used in English as slang for yes. So if we go yahing and we mean yes, that could be completely wrong.
It could, but you really do get it from the only thing I can tell you is it is a game of context. Ya entiendo. Yeah, I got it. I got it now. I understand it now. I get it already. Ya entiendo. Oh, I understand it now. But it's giving affirmation. Ya entiendo. Yeah, now I get it. Okay. So, I will probably send along to you guys a parting shot on ya. And it will be this page. And it is long. This is why I didn't give it to you first, because it's scary long, but it gives you a lot of examples. And the only way to really understand ya is to see lots of examples, hear lots of examples. But, with the reading part of it, you're missing that tone of voice. This thing of showing frustration, you're going to hear that in the person's voice, Somebody looks at you and says, ya estuvo, that's enough. Yeah. You're going to hear it in their voice. Bleh. Yeah. It'll be an unpleasant kind of yeah. So yeah, that part you cannot get from reading these, but notice this, when it's paired up with no, ya no, it's not anymore or not any longer, no longer. And look, we have 3 ways of saying that in English. They just say ya no como chocolate. I don't eat chocolate anymore, right? Ya no estás saliendo con Juan. You're not going out with Juan anymore. You're not dating Juan anymore. Michelle ya no se encuentra en la oficina. Yeah, she's not in the office. Ya no sé si me cae bien Luis. I don't know if I like Luis anymore. Es muy chismoso. He's very gossipy. So I'll send this along so you can kind of get a flavor for it, but it's not really the kind of thing like stem changing verbs where I could say, we'll go and practice these a lot, because the examples are almost too endless. So you have to take it as it comes and be uncomfortable or be comfortable with the discomfort for a bit, but you will get it from tone of voice. You will, trust me with that. So, okay. Yeah.
It's almost like a filler word that they use for emphasis.
In a way, it is kind of like a filler
because
word.
all those sentences you showed us really made sense without the ya in them. Those senses. So, and I noticed when you gave us one of those food videos, there were a lot of filler words that they used in answering her questions on the street.
Yes, filler words come up a lot. You may or may not understand what a filler word is. And filler words, you may say, well, how important could that be? Filler words are things like filler word like yeah, filler words, well, there's another filler word, well, filler words exist, I'm pretty sure, in almost all languages. Filler words exist in Spanish. you will hear more and more as I give you little videos that a lot of people who talk on the street, like people that you walk up to on the fly, totally impromptu, and ask their opinion on something, will plug in filler words. And whether you like the word like a lot or you hate it in English, he knows like 15 languages. You may say that what a totally inappropriate way to use the English word like, but people do it. And filler words exist as well in Spanish. Actually, I will send some things to you on filler words because you will hear them a lot. The filler words you will, but I'll give you a little preview. The filler words you may tend to hear a lot. Filler words are words that don't have a whole lot of meaning. They have very little meaning, but in fact, and they're not important for you to understand the main idea. But the reason you want to know filler words is you want to know they exist because people are just plug it in when they hit a pause. A filler word is a little word that does not have a great deal of meaning in and of itself. It is a word that does not really have anything to do with the main subject of whatever it is you're talking about. So why would I bother to do it? Because you want to know it's just kind of out there. Yeah, you don't want to say, oh, I missed the meaning of that word. It's nothing deep, but people say it all the time. So here are our filler words. They're words that people use when there's a pause, and there's pausing for about 2 or 3 seconds to think about what other, what else they're going to say. When you're piecing together information in your own mind, we use filler words, and we use them in English a lot as well. Whether people think they're bad or good, they exist. So here are some filler words in Spanish. Pues, well, bueno, also well. I know it means good, but a lot of times it's like, well, bueno, yeah. And they're thinking, yeah, a ver, and it'll sound like all one word, a ver. Literally, let's see. O sea. O sea has, and really technically it's 2 words as well, o sea. And este. These 2 are like the notorious word like. I have whatever, o sea, este. These are but a few of the filler words. And I would say these two, wow, people, salt and pepper, their impromptu speech with this. So just know here, why is it important? Well, it isn't, but it is in this sense. When you hear an o sea, when you hear an este, in the middle of a sentence, it doesn't have a great deal of meaning. It's a pause word. They're pausing to like fill in an example for you. They're pausing to what it is they're going to say next. So in other words, the filler words are nothing that should make you feel like, oh my gosh, my stomach is all in a clench because I don't know what that o sea means. It doesn't have deep meaning. It's a pause word for them to think and fill in an extra example, to fill in, here's what else I want to say. It's a pause. These are the or the like of the Spanish speaking world. Another one we could add to this would be digamos, literally, let's say. All right. So filler words are important only so that you know, oh, it's just a pause. Now, next, they're going to tell me something important. So don't struggle to translate them. Just know that somebody is pausing to think, to give you more information. And these words are not a crux, a make it or break it kind of word in any way, shape, or form, but you will hear people use them a lot. Just like, you know, when your kid, oh, you know, there's another filler word. Yeah. We have gobs of them in English, but do know that when people speak, especially off the cuff, you will hear them all the time. Okay. Bien? And I'll send you some fun things on filler words because they are helpful to know. It's helpful to know, don't stumble over them. Just let them pass you by. Yeah. Bien. Ok. Vamos a empezar ahora con cambios de raíz. We're going to start back up with some practice with stem changers. We're going to take a look at the IE and UE and just a little review, because some of you may have had company and just really didn't have time to look at this stuff all that much or review that much. It was the holiday weekend for many folks. But remember, these are the funny verbs that fall into 3 different categories: E to I, or O to UE, or E to I. And actually, we'll take a look at the E to I category, I hope, a little bit today. Because really, we're focusing a lot more on these 2, right? Last week and this week, because these 2 are legion. There are loads and loads of verbs that fall into those 2 categories, the IEs and the UEs. And you will hear it as people speak and they use their conjugations. Little reminder that there is no like magical formula for you to look at the formation of an infinitive and say, that is a stem changer. You just have to know it falls into that stem changer category. You just have to know. Are you, practically speaking, going to memorize them all? Probably not. That's not a practical thing to do because you would need lists of hundreds and hundreds of words, and that's not helpful. But do know that when you hear an IE in the middle of a verb, oh, it's a stem changer, okay? And what we're going to do, and that the nosotros and vosotros, but for you, what's important is the nosotros. The nosotros form falls outside the shoe, outside the boot, meaning it will go back to the original vowel that was in the infinitive. It will not get the stem change, but everything else will. So this is going to happen in present tense. By the way, it usually, like 90% of the time, doesn't happen in the past tense. It doesn't happen. It happens in present tense. It happens in commands. Okay. So that is primarily where stem changes happen. Okay. And that E to I category is small. We'll talk about it a little bit later. So we looked at some verbs last week like querer and dormir and entender and cerrar, empezar and comenzar, right? You had some examples. We're going to do more of these color block examples in some smaller groups again. Today, hoy, we took a look at preferir, perder, poder, volver. Okay. Hoy, today, or for today, we're going to send you off into some groups to practice these 4. Actually, we won't really practice nevar so much because nevar only gets 1 conjugation. Because I don't snow and you don't snow and we don't snow. It snows. The sky does this. So it's only nieva. I can't practice that in a whole bunch of conjugations, just nieva. Bien? But we are going to practice in the first group, recordar and acordarse. This acordarse is actually a little more common, I think, of the 2 verbs that mean to remember. It's got an extra little pronoun, but don't let that stump you. We're going to practice encontrar, to find, almorzar, to eat lunch. These are going to be UE stem changes, and I'll send these to you in a moment. Una pregunta. They say you've got a question.
See, you say only for present
tense, these you would use these stem changes only for present tense. So I'm trying to
In past tense, the stem changes do not happen, except for a special little category, which is unimportant to you now. Let's put it that way. Okay. As a matter of fact, the ones that will get a stem change in the past tense, you haven't even seen yet, and you haven't even studied yet. So why worry about something you're not going to be using right now today, right? Okay.
So acordarse,
Yeah.
I have a question there.
Cici.
Acordarse there, you put that the stem change into IE, isn't it UE?
It is UE. Oh, I do have IE. Why do I have that? Because I did a fat finger. Gracias.
And
It's UE.
what kind of verb is that? Acordarse.
The acordarse and recordar. Okay, I'm going to send you before we practice this one.
Right, but I don't know what the other one is.
Yeah. Let's take a quickie look at these two. And the reason we're going to take a look at this now is that they are synonyms. They are words that mean the same thing. Okay. As in English, we have start and begin, which are synonyms. You can say, oh, they're starting the race is starting, or the race is beginning, and it means the same thing, but they're two separate words, but they have the same meaning. The verb for remember, and I'm going to show you, people teach this word first because people look at recordar and they think, recording, and it's set in stone. And that means you can remember, and it helps us as a mental cognate, doesn't mean to record, it means to remember, but recordar is easy for us to connect as a definition with remember because we have an English word that kind of means setting something permanently, so that you will.
Your screen is not showing up.
Oh, perdón. Gracias. Okay, here we go. So we remember that recordar, it means to remember, but this verb too, and this is in some ways, I think, almost more common, but you know what? They're synonyms. They mean the same thing. They both mean to remember, but I'm going to show you a little bit of what we do with these two verbs. Okay. So let's take a look at the form. Let's take the easy one first. We're going to take the easy one, which is recordar. Las formas de recordar are recuerdo, right? Recordamos. And I'm going to back all these up so that we've got lots of space because we're talking about remember. So we're going to take that English out. Bueno, recuerdo, recordamos already. We've got, the one that's out of the boot. So it goes back to the COR, recordar, recordamos, recuerdas, right? Recordáis, but you're not going to use that really, except only the Spaniards use that. Recuerda, recuerda, recuerdan. Bien, okay. So not too hard. And that means to remember, or it can mean to remind. And I'll give you a small example. And remind, the idea of remind is sort of akin to or related to the idea of remembering, if, you may say, let's say you've got something special, some special piece of jewelry, and you might say, este collar me recuerda, this necklace reminds me, me recuerda a mi hermana. It reminds me of my sister. Mi hermana me lo dio. My sister gave it to me. That's why it reminds me of my sister. Me acuerda a. Me recuerda a. It reminds me. Me recuerda a mi mamá. Okay, so it can also mean to remind, just so you know. All right. Here comes the acordarse. And acordarse needs a little preposition after it. De. It needs de quite often, when you name the thing afterwards that you remember, right? Me acuerdo. This happens to need a little, okay, let me back up. When you see a verb listed with a se hanging off its fanny back end, the caboose off the end of the train, that little se at the end means it's also a special category called a reflexive verb. Okay. And it means technically that a reflexive verb generally, often, but not 100%, can carry the meaning of somebody doing an action. They also receive the benefit of that action. And that doesn't make a great deal of sense in this one. Some don't really follow that, but a reflexive verb, if it's got this little say hanging off the back end, needs an extra type of a pronoun. And notice it's not a yo pronoun. It's a separate set of pronouns. So I'll show you what acordarse looks like, okay? Because this is super, super common. Me acuerdo. Nos acordamos. It needs that little funny pronoun in front. Te acuerdas. You won't hear this much, acordáis, os acordáis, but they use that one in Spain only. And then we're going to have a se. It looks like the se that's in this infinitive here, okay? These little pronouns are called reflexive pronouns. Se acuerda, and the se pops up again in third person. Acuerdan. See? Okay. So acordarse gets an extra little pronoun. Just accept that's what it has to have.
Would you remind me just to make sure it's on the, it's say for both of them, it's not SES for
right. Yes, it's not, there is no SES word. Okay. And so what Nora is saying here is, if I have se acuerda, when I go to third person plural, shouldn't it be this to make that plural? But no, that does not happen ever. That does not happen. That word doesn't exist. Ses isn't a word.
Not like Sue and Seuss. That's what's
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not. It is not like Sue and Sus, right? Sue is these little pronouns. They're stinky little buggers, aren't they? Right? Sue means his or her or your or their. Okay, and Sus literally means the same thing, but it's a plural form. But that's a possessive. It says somebody owns. It tells who owns something.
Okay.
Who has possession. And that is, even though it has an S in it, and this has an S in it, they are totally unrelated. Not at all alike. Okay. This say is what they call a reflexive. And this particular verb, and I don't want to get into all the nuances of se, because se can be a confusing word too, but just know that this particular form of remember needs these little pronouns in front of it. And you can kind of see how that's related to the idea of tú, even though it isn't the word tú, right? Right. But, this one is new. Se acuerda, se acuerdan. See, The nos kind of makes sense because it sounds a little bit like nosotros, but notice it doesn't have a period. You know, I'd have every 15-year-old in the world who learned this word would write NOS period because they thought it was a short form of nosotros. It isn't.
Oh.
It's a totally separate word. Yeah, they thought it was like Mr. MR period. No, it's not like that. There's no period there. It's not a short form of nosotros. It's not cutting nosotros short to be done with it. It's not doing that at all. Okay, so let me just
Sorry, I have a question.
Sí, dime, tell me.
Yeah. If so this is an AR verb with a say at the end. Are all of the reflexive verbs AR verbs, or it can be any?
No, they're not all AR verbs.
Okay.
Qué buena pregunta. What a good question that is. Let's get off of this for a bit because this is worth talking about. The fact that a verb is a stem changer does not really reflect on, is it an AR or an ER or an IR? Tener is an ER verb, but it has an IE stem change. It just does. Oh, but this one's kind of an oddball. And the reason this has a little asterisk star is that the yo form doesn't get that stem change. And technically it should, but it doesn't. So that's just weird all the way around. Referir is an IR verb, and it happens to be an IE, but it's an IR verb. Okay. Nevar is an AR verb. It's an IE stem change. Okay. Venir, to come, is an IE stem changer. It's an IR verb. It just happens to be. Entender is an ER verb. It's an IE stem change. It just happens to be. Okay. Bien. I'm saving my weird ones for the end here. Ooh, momentito. Sentirse. This is kind of like the acordarse. It happens to use those funny little pronouns here. This means to feel a certain way. To feel. And sentirse is an IE stem change, or IE stem change. It's an IR infinitive. Okay. Bien. Comenzar is an IE infinitive. It's an AR infinitive. It's an IE stem changer, but it's an AR verb. Yeah, right. Take a look at the verb for sit down. Park your keister somewhere. Okay. It's got a se at the end. It's one of those funny little things that'll need a funny pronoun in the front. Sentarse. Oh my gosh, this is so confusing. Look at these two. Oh my gosh. They're exactly the same, except one's an AR verb, one's an IR verb. That means their endings will be different, but they're both IE stem changes. Wow, can we get any more confusing? Of course we can. Cerrar is an IE stem change. Cerrar, but it's an AR verb. Okay, perderse is an IE stem changer, but an ER. So AR, ER, IR. Yeah. A stem changer might end in AR, might end in ER, might end in IR. They're all over the place. Bien. Okay. Does that answer your question? See?
Yes.
See, okay, bien. All right, let's go back to our, before we send you off into practice, let's look at this me acuerdo example. Let's say I don't remember somebody's address. This is something I don't remember somebody's phone number. Oh, I don't memorize phone numbers anymore. And it's gotten only worse with the cell phone age. So if I want to say I don't remember, no me acuerdo de su número de teléfono. No me acuerdo de, no me acuerdo de, no me acuerdo de, because I'm naming the thing. In this case, I don't remember. I need this little word de hanging off the end. That verb just needs that little word de. But here's our form. No me acuerdo. No me acuerdo. I need that little me there. You ask somebody, ¿te acuerdas de esa fiesta de Luis? Do you remember that party, that party that Luis threw? Do you remember that? ¿Te acuerdas de esa fiesta de Luis? ¿Te acuerdas? ¿Te acuerdas? It needs that little te. Just so you know, it needs that little word. It's just a pattern you should get used to. That's all. Eso es. Bien? Okay. So what I'm going to have you do in breakout rooms, and I'm going to make this bigger so you can read it more easily. Bien. You're going to do the little changes I asked you to do. So I'm going to preview what you do before I send you off into groups. I give you one example that's already conjugated, and I asked you to change it into some kind of a different form to practice the different kinds of stem changes, or maybe it's outside the boot and it doesn't have a stem change. Okay, depende, depends. Me acuerdo de las palabras. Me acuerdo de las palabras. Okay. Change acordarse to talk about two people. You're going to change it so that two people remember the words. The rest of the sentence stays the same. You're just changing the verb to talk about a couple of people. And I remind you what little pronoun it needs down here. So that thing in kind of italics is important to help you change the sentence, okay? Encuentro dinero en los cojines del sofá. I find money between the cushions in my sofa. Yeah. Change encontrar to ask a question, but ask it as in do you find? So you're going to change this thing here into a question, and the question will be for tú, asking you directly, okay? Los estudiantes almuerzan a las 12. The students have lunch at 12. And I want you to change almorzar to a form that will be for nosotros. That's what you're going to do when you get into your smaller groups, okay? And today for this, because it's uniform and all on the same, it's with the same information, and you've got patterns that are set to follow. I'm just going to divide you not into, whoops. I'm not going to set you off into specific like beginner groups or not, because really it won't be necessary. You're all working with very set patterns. Vamos a ver. Let's see if I've got a good number of people in here. Guy, it did not do. Hang on. Let's try to change this again. What is going on with my Zoom? Okay, bien. Bien, bien, bien. Okay, you're in groups of 3 or 4, no bigger than that. I will send those sentences into the rooms with you. After you hit your join buttons, you'll be able to see the exact same screen that I showed you all together. And I want you to practice that after you hit your join button. I'll send the screen out to you in just a minute. En un minuto. Okay, bien. Got people coming back in. I'm looking at my countdown watch. And there we go. A ver. Bueno. We will compare notes, if you will, once we have everybody back in. Bien, bien, bien. Okay. A ver. And we should have a whole slew of people coming back on in. Okay. ¿Y cómo les fue? How'd it go for you?
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Bien?
Genial, genial.
Ok,
Bien?
más o
Okay.
menos.
Okay.
Bueno, excelente. Vamos a ver, this is a very uniform thing. It's not like they're, you're just changing the form. So let's take a look at what we should have had in case you had a trip up or a slip up. Así es, so it is. A ver, okay, let's take a look at this. Me acuerdo changed to what, guys? If we talk about two people.
Se
Recuerden.
Se acuerdan, and we need this little
Recuerdan
de. Se
de
acuerdan de las palabras.
palabras.
They remember the words. They remember
Can
the
also
words.
use nos, right? Can we use nos too?
We
Nos
cannot use, oh, well, if you
It's more
talk,
than two.
it's more than two.
More than one, right?
Gracias, Juanita. Okay. If you interpreted that to mean we, only
Yeah.
to say we, yeah, more than one person, then it would be nos acordamos, right?
Okay.
Nos acordamos. So, well, yes, technically, I did not tell you couldn't use nosotros. So, well, there we go. Yeah, technically, I have to bless that and say it's okay. Nos acordamos.
Gracias.
I didn't say yo is not in the group. So yeah, I have to bless that. Sí, gracias. Okay, muy bien. But that's good. It's good. Okay. Encuentro dinero en los cojines. I find money in the cushions. We're going to ask it to make a question. Do you find money in the seat cushions in your sofa? And it becomes what?
Encuentras.
Encuentras dinero en los cojines, el sofá. Bien, sí, exacto. Muy bien. Los estudiantes almuerzan a las 12. And here I did specifically tell you, make it a nosotros form. It becomes
Almorzamos.
almorzamos. And here we kick out the stem change, right? We go back to the o sound of almorzar. Almorzamos a las 12. Almorzamos a las 12. Sí, perfecto. Okay, bien. You will notice these are O to UE changes. O to UE changes. I want to show you something special about this verb encontrar, which is going to look a little bit like this verb, acordarse. I want to show you something new about that verb, encontrar. Encontrar means literally to find, but often, I paused to think about this, often you may hear encontrar used in a different way that you may not expect. And I'm going to show you what it means. Encontrar means to find. We have the word encounter. Well, yeah, you can kind of relate encounter and find as, kind of being akin, let us say, in terms of the general idea. Encontrar is generally to find. You may hear this verb used in this way, encontrarse, which might mean a couple of things, but it is often used in this sense, to feel a certain way. Okay, I'll give you an example. And I'll show you how it's used. Me encuentro bien. Me encuentro bien. I feel fine. It's a different way. It's a different verb to use to change things up. Instead of saying estoy bien, you can express the same idea as me encuentro bien. Literally, I find myself well. Okay? That's literally what it means. Somebody may say, no me encuentro bien. I don't feel so hot. I don't feel so hot. No me encuentro bien. No me encuentro bien. But people will use it. They will pair it up because what they're saying is, I feel a certain way in my skin, like to the core of my being. This is how I feel. Yeah. So people will use this to talk about how they feel. All right. And the way you'll hear it used is me encuentro, nos encontramos, te encuentras, right? Os encontráis, se encuentran, or se encuentra for one person, se encuentran for two people. So just know that me encuentro bien, it is very specific. It'll be with mal or bien. You feel good or you don't feel so hot. Me encuentro. Literally, I find myself. Okay? I find myself. So that is a little spin you may hear with this idea of encontrar. A ver. Okay. Bien. Para que sepan, so you know. So, all right, we're wading into more practice with O to UE, O to UE. By far, if you remember no other verb,
Poder.
no other verb that has a UE stem change,
Puedo.
you really need to know this verb. This is a survival verb that people use constantly. Poder means to be able. We use it when we want to convey the idea of somebody can do something, meaning they have the power. And poder also means power. Yeah, it does. Poder means can. Somebody is able. They have the power to do something. They are capable of doing something. Poder. And this is used all the time. And it's used, it might be used alone. Sí, puedo, I can. But usually it's paired up with a second verb. And that second verb will not be conjugated. Just like you say, they can run fast. Okay. It is puedo, por ejemplo, things I can do. Puedo nadar. I can swim. But nadar doesn't get conjugated. Puedo nadar. ¿Sí? Puedo subir las montañas. I can go up the mountains. Puedo montar en bicicleta. I can ride a bike. Puedo manejar a un carro. I can drive a car. No puedo lavar la ropa. I can't wash the clothes right now. See? Ya no. I can no longer. I can't. Yeah, my machine broke down. Ya no puedo lavar la ropa. I can't wash the clothes anymore because it broke down. Yeah. Puedo hablar con él a las 2. I can talk with him at 2 o'clock. Okay. So poder, can, we use all the time to say, hey, this is a possibility. It's something that can be done. So if you learn no other O to UE stem changer, learn that one. But you've already seen last week, volver, right? To come back to a place. We've seen dormir, to sleep, right? Dormir, UE stem change. It's an IR verb. It just happens to be. This is a verb that is used a lot for talking about playing about games and sports. I know it's not an O, the only one here, but it's a UE stem change. Jugar. Jugar is to play a sport or to play a game. It is not used for playing a musical instrument. Totally different verb. Okay. For playing a game or playing a sport. Jugar. Juego. Okay. Juego. I play. Here's an important thing you may hear at restaurants or in stores where you try on clothing because you don't know if it fits. Probar. It looks like probe. Well, your tongue probes something. I know, kind of a gross thought, but that's what it is. Probar is used to mean that you taste something. You take a small piece of it to see if you like it. Probar. It is a UE stem change. Probar is also used to talk about trying on clothing because you're not sure if it's going to fit. So probar can be to try something on or to try something out in your mouth, meaning you taste it. Recordar, you've had. Sonar means to sound. So, you don't hear this so much in yo. Well, it's possible, but the phone rings. The phone is not yo, and the phone is not nosotros. The phone is not tú. But el teléfono suena, suena. It sounds, it rings, it rings. Okay.
You can do it like he sounds like, or I sound.
Yeah. Suena muy raro. It sounds weird. He sounds weird. It sounds weird. You could theoretically, if let's say you have laryngitis and you sound like a frog. Suena como una rana. I sound like a frog. Yeah, you could technically use that. But the way you will hear this most commonly is, suena tu teléfono. Hey, your phone is ringing. Yeah, that's the way most people will typically use that. Okay. Or here's the other way people may say this. You may hear people say, no suena bien. It doesn't sound right. Like you said something the wrong way, right? Bien. Okay. Here's another fun verb for UE stem change. Morir, to die. Muero. We're not practicing this one today, but para que sepan, so you know, morir, to die. It is a stem changer. People use it to literally say die, or like to say, I'm dying of hunger. Yeah, me muero de hambre. Wow, I'm dying of hunger, meaning I intensely feel that, right? Almorzar, you have had. Llover only will be conjugated for it rains. So you only have to worry about one conjugation. Llueve. Llueve, nothing else, because I can't rain and we can't rain and you sure can't rain. Okay. Doler, meaning to cause pain. And this one will be conjugated just for the part of the body that hurts. Okay. If your nose hurts because you have a cold, if your tooth hurts because you have a toothache, if your shoulder hurts, it'll be duele, duele. That body part hurts, okay? Para que sepan, so you know. So anyway, we've got all these different verbs that use, and this one, wow, you learned this way back. Cuesta. A thing costs money. I don't cost money. We don't cost money. But something costs. Cuesta. Or those things cost. Cuestan. So you'll hear this as cuesta or cuestan, because things cost money, right? Okay, so ahora vamos a ver. So we're going to take a look at our examples in the next set here. Aquí, here we see, and we don't have a whole lot to practice. Llueve. with, right? Because that's the only form. Llueve, it rains, right? Llueve, it rains. And remember, this is used to say it rains, like in a general sense, like it rains in monsoon season. Llueve aquí en la temporada del monzón. It rains here, like to talk about a general pattern, right? And we'll talk in about a week or two about how we talk about that more if you're talking about, in real time, it is happening right now. But to talk about general pattern, llueve. But we're going to practice these verbs here. Jugar, to play a sport. Devolver, to return a thing. Doler, for a body part that hurts. Okay. A ver. So, los ejemplos, some examples here. Tiger Woods. Hay una S. Suena mal. That sounds bad. Woods. Suena mejor. That sounds better. Tiger Woods juega al golf. Tiger Woods plays golf. You're going to go into smaller groups. You're going to change jugar to talk about a couple of people. And maybe you don't want to put in golf. Maybe you want to put in a different sport. Yeah. Maybe you want to change that up a little bit. So I'll ask you to change something else. You're changing a little more here. Change the sport or the game. And if the game is, Clue, a board game, then call it Clue. Don't try to, translate the name of the game. Devuelvo and name a thing. Maybe you're returning, I don't know, maybe you're returning books to the library. Maybe you're returning clothes at a store because it didn't work out, right? Change devolver to talk about one person, not yo, because it's already in yo. Change it to talk about one person and name the thing that they're returning, okay? And then you're going to use me duele and a part of the body. And notice, wait a minute, this is weird. It doesn't have yo, me duele. So I'm going to show you a little bit below how that happens. I want you to change it to say, my eyes hurt. I'm going to show you some examples down here. Me duele el hombro. My shoulder hurts. Me duele el estómago. My stomach hurts. Me duele el diente. My tooth hurts. But look at how this is going to change up. Am I, technically I hurt, but technically a part of my body hurts me. And the me is expressing the me idea. It's causing pain to me. So I want you to notice how this verb, but notice it's not a yo form. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't put in my duele here. Me duele el hombro. Okay. Vale. Notice how this is going to change. Me duelen los ojos. My eyes hurt. Right? Me duelen las rodillas. My knees hurt. Maybe you've been walking all day at the Renaissance Fair. Me duelen los pies. My feet hurt. Yeah. Maybe somebody, I'm going to put this off here. Ears. Maybe somebody was setting off fireworks. Me duelen las orejas. Wow, my ears hurt. And really, I should put that as oídos because that's the inner part of your ear that's hurting. That's what's really hurting, the inside of your ears, los oídos. Me duelen las rodillas. Your knees hurt. If that body part is a plural thing, like both your ears, it's duelen. If that body part is more than one, like both your knees, it's duelen. If that body part is a pair of them, your feet, it's duelen. So notice duelen because it's pies. Duelen because it's rodillas. Duelen because it's your eardrums that are hurting you, right? But if just one shoulder hurts, it's hombro, duele. If just your stomach hurts, it's a onesie thing, duele. If one tooth hurts, not every single tooth in your mouth, it's duele. Bien? Okay? So you're going to go off and do that, change, make these little changes in your small groups. ¿Entienden? Understand?
Sí.
Bien, fantástico. Okay, we'll send you back out to breakout rooms. And I'll send out that picture with what you are practicing with.
Who's that now?
Okay. Muy bien. Aquí vamos. Here we go. Aquí vienen todos.
You better hear me.
Sí, sí, sí. Okay.
That's good.
Vale, bueno, vamos a ver. And if you had a pretty easy time with the first half, probably now this is going to be, probably this one was equally simple to work out. ¿Sí? Bien. Un ejemplo. An example for that first one about playing a sport.
Charles Barkley and Jordan Wagon basketball.
Okay. We name a couple of
I did-
people.
Yeah, I didn't. I had trouble with in my group, so that's why I'm jumping in.
Okay, so if I name Charles Barkley, no sé, I don't know too many basketball players, but yeah, Charles Barkley y Steve Nash, ¿sí? Juegan al baloncesto. And people use baloncesto or basketball. I mean, they use both terms. ¿Sí? Basketball, okay? Bien.
Marilyn, we had a question. Well, I had a question in our
Sí,
little
sí.
group on that. If you use a team name, like I use Los Diamondbacks, does that count as, is that singular or plural when you go to conjugate
If you
the verb?
say it, yeah, if you say it as Los Diamondbacks juegan al béisbol. Sí. Los Diamondbacks, because you mean a whole bunch of people. Sí. Juegan. Yeah, sí, eso es, that's it. You know, I could talk without naming the team. I could just say el equipo juega. El equipo, por ejemplo, el equipo juega bien. The team plays well. El equipo, team, one team, juega. But if I say Los Diamondbacks, I mean all of those guys. Then it's Los Diamondbacks juegan with an N at the end. Sí, Mark. Okay? Bien?
Okay.
Excelente. Okay. How about this devuelvo one? Devuelvo. Change it to talking about one person.
Devuelvo.
Devuelve, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, for example, the customer. El cliente. El cliente devuelve la ropa, ¿sí? El cliente devuelve la ropa. The customer is returning the clothing, you know, it doesn't fit. Something like that, okay? Perdón, okay? Doler. How about this ojos thing? ¿Cómo se dice? The me will still be me, but me
duelen
los ojos.
Me duelen los
My eyes hurt. Literally, they're causing pain to me. And with some of these verbs, this me here really means to me. It causes pain to me. And that is why we have to use this little word me. Because when something is done to me, it becomes that little pronoun me. Me duelen los ojos. Me duelen los ojos. Okay? Bien?
I have a question.
Sí, sí, dime.
Can you say me duelen los pies de correr? Do you say de correr?
Oh, from running?
Yeah. My feet hurt from running or not.
Después de correr. Sí. me duelen los pies de correr mucho, from running a lot.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
después de correr, after running. Sí.
Okay, después. Okay.
Bueno, me gusta. Eso es. Ok. Bien.
Uh-huh.
A ver. Okay. And do know it gets easier, it gets better with time. If you feel like, oh, I'm still not, 100% with this, know that, if you're early in the stage, you will not be 100% with this. It just comes with time and more exposure and listening more and hearing more. I want to show you one other special stem changing verb that you may hear people use a lot. Contar. Contar. Contar has two meanings. Here's a meaning you won't hear people use as much. Here's the action of contar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
To count.
To count. But that's not how you're going to hear most people using contar. Contar, how you're going to hear it a lot is same word, but different definition. Contar means to tell a story. It means whatever they're going to tell you, it ain't short. Sit back. There's more coming. Okay. So if somebody wants to say, for example, he tells the truth, or he told me to buy that. That's kind of short. Yeah. I tell him to clean his room. It's a pretty short communication. That is a different verb. That kind of tell is this tell, decir, right? But if somebody wants to tell you the news, they want to tell you the latest gossip. They want to tell you all about. They want to tell you a lot of information. It's this verb, contar. Contar. And this is a super easy, and a lot of people use this. And, when they use it, te cuento, I tell you, sit back. It's going to take a while. That's what I'm saying. Okay. That means it's going to take a while. So here are the forms of contar, because I will send you off with a little video to watch this week, or to watch and listen to. And it's kind of a hard video. So if you're more of a beginner, just listen for the vocabulary. It's you may not get all the verbs, but it's still kind of useful for getting a lot of, he's going to tell about stuff in his garden. Okay. Yeah. So you'll hear, I believe you hear at least once or twice this. Yeah. Te cuento. I'll tell you about this. Yeah. To tell a story, a lengthy bit of information. Okay. So contar can be a very, very useful verb. Okay. Bien. Just so you know, you may hear that in the big long video, video. Okay. I want to tell you about the last little category of stem changers. And I left this one to last. So we're just going to have an introduction to it. I will send you with a video to tell you about the grammar part of it. It is going to be a shoe or boot verb formation, but it is the E to IE category. So let's take a quick look at what that is. This E to I category is, you may say in your wise little brain, well, how do I know if it's E to IE like this one, or if it's E to I? Well, from looking at the infinitive, you don't, but just from hearing people use it, you do. So here's the good thing. E to I is a very small category of verbs. There aren't really a whole ton of verbs that fall into this category. It has fewer verbs than the other two categories. So this is what we would call, what I would like to say is a teeny tiny category in the vast, vast universe of lots and lots of verbs. And here are three verbs that are very, very common. Pedir, to ask for, or like ordering food. Pedir, to ask for. And the for, the idea of for is built into the verb itself. You don't need an extra word for hanging around after that. It's just pedir. Pedir, servir, which means to serve. Repetir, which is a great cognate. It means to repeat. Servir is a cognate. It looks kind of like serve. That is what it means. Repetir is definitely a cognate. It looks like repeat. It sounds like repeat. That is what it means. Those are probably the three most common infinitives that fall into this E to IE category. Okay. Here is, and I'm going to take this off share screen for a minute. Here is another kind of E to I category. Decir, to say or to tell, except this does a weird thing for Joe. It goes into a go ending for Joe, but it is really an E to I category, to say, to tell. And you hear this verb all the time, to say, to tell. Pedir, to ask for, to order something like in a restaurant. Seguir, to follow or continue, is an E to I. And you hear this a lot because people will tell you, siga 3 cuadras, keep going. Keep going like X number of blocks. Seguir means to keep on doing something, to continue doing something, to follow or to follow somebody, right? Seguir. Competir, to compete. Do you need that so much? Maybe not, but it's an E to I. Vestirse. Here's a funny little thing hanging off the tail end, the caboose. Vestirse means to get dressed, to put clothing onto yourself, to get dressed, and it gets an E to I stem change. Okay. Reír, or sometimes used as reírse, means ha, 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 ha. That action, to laugh, reírse. And here is the little E that changes to I. So these are some of the verbs that are E to I. This is a much smaller category. Some of the verbs that fall into this category, I'll be honest, are maybe like not so frequently used in common conversation. So we have fewer things to practice with, but we will practice them next week. And here is the change, the type of change that you will hear. Okay. It's not an IE stem change. It's just the I by itself. So it's this sound, E, E, E. So repetir, right? It's always the vowel next door to the infinitive ending that gets the change. So it becomes repito, repites, repite, repiten. But nosotros falls outside of the shoe, so it goes back to the repetir. It goes back to the E vowel sound. Repetimos, repetimos. Okay, bien. I want you to notice something about this category of verbs. All the E to, oops, and I can't make my, E to I, stem changes are IR verbs.
Oh.
They're all IRs, all of them. Every single last one of them. Was that planned? I doubt it. Well, I don't know. No sé. I don't know. Whether or not that was planned is buried in the sands of time 1,000 years ago. But they all happen to be IR kinds of infinitives. They just are. Okay, so I'll send you off with homework to listen to a little of that. Bien. And we, ¿a dónde? Sí, eso es. Okay. I want to wrap up today with something cultural. When we come back, actually, I will send you off with a little, also a little page. I'll show you what it looks like to practice just a variety of stem changers. And the nice thing about this will mix them all up, not just the E to I stem changers, but it will mix them up. It will tell you, here are the verbs we're choosing from. It gives you a word bank at the top. And then it's going to put all these verbs into context of being at a restaurant. And at the end, you can type in all your verbs, and then you can hit the correct button and it will tell you which ones you got right, which ones you got wrong. And then you can go down to the next segment to practice again and again. When you get done typing all your answers and hit the correct button, it will tell you what you got right and what you got wrong. So in other words, it doesn't like autocorrect immediately. You have to hit the correct button, all right, to find out what you got right and what you got wrong. So, and this is going, and that will mix up all the different kinds of stem changes, okay? So that'll be like the last thing I want you to do, okay? We're going to take a look at a little listening comprehension video because it is a cultural thing. It is something that is going on right now, ahorita. It is called La Feria de Sevilla. Sevilla. Is it going on right now? Momento. It is, whoops. I need to pause him. La Feria. Actually, I don't know if it's going on yet this week because this is just the week after Easter. It generally happens after Easter. And it's, of course, Easter always falls in a different week. It's never like, the Christmas thing of December 25th. So sometimes it is early May. Sometimes it is late April. Usually it is April. And it is called La Feria de Abril. It's called the April Fair. So I do want to, I got to look at my time. 11 minutos. We'll at least start this because I'm running late. We'll run the beginning. This tells you about a special fair that actually is either going on right now or will go on next week. I'm not quite sure when, but it is good for listening. And this is good for listening at many different levels because it's listed as a beginner Spanish. Oops, perdón. Need to hit my share buttons. And he's going to tell you what it is about. And this is Spain. This is not a Mexico thing. Pueden ver. Can you see this guy here in the gray t-shirt? See? Bien. Okay. We'll let him start and then I'll let you finish the video with him.
De la Feria de Abril.
This is what La Feria de Abril, this is what it looks like. And I want you to notice, these are not wooden buildings. They are all tents. He's going to give you the vocabulary about this. And notice the funny outfits. Yes, this is something that women dress in to go to this fair quite often. Oh, this is something you see like in postcards. Yeah.
Feria de Abril en Sevilla.
This is only in Sevilla, only in Seville. This does not happen all over. It is typical to one specific city, but a very
flamenco.
Big. Flamenco stuff, exacto.
Y mirad este vídeo para saber qué se come en la Feria de Abril.
What is eaten?
Yo sé que a vosotros os
going to talk about what is eaten.
Os gusta la comida.
So we'll play about maybe 5 minutes of this.
Que se hace cada año.
Perdón.
Es una fiesta que se hace cada año. Cada año se hace una vez.
Una vez al año, once in the year, okay? Cada año, every year. Se hace, it is made, it is done every year. Se hace cada año, it's done every year.
Y se llama la Feria de Abril.
It's called the April Fair.
Porque normally, abril, es en el mes de abril. A veces puede ser que sea en mayo.
Sometimes it might be
Que
in May.
sea a principios de mayo.
Beginning,
Pero
principios.
normalmente es en abril. La Feria de Abril, cada año, tiene una portada.
Tiene una portada. This portada sounds like the word puerta. Portada is a doorway. It is an archway. It is an entranceway. La portada. And la portada, they always put this up for the fair.
Es como llaman a la puerta, no sé, es como una puerta, es la entrada, ¿no? Para entrar a la Feria de Abril.
It's a gateway,
Y
portada.
cada año es diferente, ¿no? En 2017, 2018, 2019, cada año es diferente. La portada es diferente.
So they change the design up a
En
little bit every year.
esta feria hay atracciones, hay feria, ¿no? Hay tiendas,
So hay atracciones. There are things to do. Atracciones are, things to do, like carnival stuff, right? Hay tiendas, there are stores.
tiendas que venden cosas y hay mucha gente, muchas personas caminando por aquí, ¿no?
Lots of people walking.
Por la calle. La feria son 7 días, son una semana entera, toda una semana, 7 días. Y tiene un recinto, una zona para la feria.
Recinto is just a fancy word for an enclosed area. Un recinto. So it's an enclosed area. It's not just everywhere all over the city.
Una zona bastante grande.
Una
Tienen,
zona grande.
Farolillos de
Lights.
papel, hechos con papel,
Paper lanterns.
con casetas. Hay muchas
Con
casetas.
casetas. Casetas is the special term they use for their little tent setups, but they are sturdier than a normal tent. Okay, but they are little canvas tents. They're canvas tents, casetas.
Las casetas son temporales. Son
Temporales,
solamente
temporary.
por un tiempo, solamente durante la feria, las montan y después las desmontan, ¿no?
They set them up,
Las
they break them down.
casetas están hechas con lona, están hechas de lona.
Canvas.
Son parecidas a una tienda de campaña, ¿no?
They're
Como
like
una
a
tienda de campaña,
camping tent, but
pero más
bigger.
grandes. Y de casetas hay más de 1000. Hay más de 1000 casetas.
Hay más de 1000 casetas. There are more than 1,000 tents.
Y las casetas, todas, tienen que ser listadas, ¿no? Con rayas, así, rayadas, de color.
They're
Pueden ser
striped.
o de color rojo y blanco, ¿no? Rojo y blanco, o verde y blanco. Rojo y blanco o verde y blanco. Entonces, la lona de las casetas es verde y blanco o rojo y blanco. Pero la mayoría de las casetas son privadas, están cerradas solamente para las personas que conocen, que la gente dentro de la caseta conoce.
The tent setup is by invitation only. You gotta know somebody. Every tent is set up by some kind of association. It might be a church group, might be a sports group, might be a golfing club. I don't know. It's got to be a club or an association of some kind, a members only kind of thing. So you got to know somebody to get in. If you know somebody who belongs to one of these clubs, you may get an invite.
Que el grupo de amigos o la organización de la caseta, ellos conocen o ellos han invitado, ¿no? Pero hay unas pocas casetas que están abiertas, que todo el mundo puede entrar.
A few are open to
Muchas
anybody.
casetas tienen un tablao. Un tablao es un suelo, es el suelo, un suelo de madera para bailar.
Each tent gets tablao. There is a little wooden false floor space. It's a dance floor, but it's not like dance floor at a wedding, huge. It's a dance floor that's very limited because, you can't be the whole tent because some people are sitting down eating. And it is for flamenco dancing.
Para bailar sevillanas.
Sevillanas are the type of dance that are done. They are flamenco style dance, and there are a bunch of them.
Un baile típico de Sevilla, obviamente, típico de Sevilla, son parecidas al flamenco.
They're like flamenco.
Normalmente se consideran un tipo de flamenco, una rama del flamenco, un palo. Estos son los palos del.
So there are many branches of flamenco. Look at all those. I don't know all of those. There are different types, branches, styles, if you will, of flamenco. So you'll see people, and they are not just like waltzing and stuff. They are doing these specific types of flamenco dances on these tablaos, on these wooden floors.
El flamenco y las sevillanas es uno de esos palos. Pero normalmente el flamenco es un arte, es un espectáculo. Hay una audiencia, hay personas que lo van a ver, que pagan dinero
just watch.
por verlo. Pero las sevillanas es una actividad social, es algo para divertirse.
Yeah, this is not like a flamenco thing you pay to see a show. These are social gatherings where people dance this.
Con la familia, con sus amigos. En la Feria de Abril se comen muchas tapas. Se come pescadito frito, embutidos, como el jamón.
So tapas are the thing. And tapas are, you may think of them as hors d'oeuvres. They are the hors d'oeuvres of Spain, tapas. Tapas are served always with alcohol of some kind, but tapas are very small dishes. They're like the dim sum, they're little dishes. You don't get like a huge whopper plate, but they are small hors d'oeuvre sized special dishes, regionally, regional specialties of Andalusia, the southern part of Spain.
Se come queso, se come marisco,
se
come
seafood,
tortilla de patatas
cheese,
y también
omelets.
Algunos dulces, como los churros, son muy típicos y los buñuelos también son muy típicos. Y tienen barriles de cerveza, pero sobre todo la mayoría son barriles de vino.
Vino.
Es muy típico el vino blanco. No el vino tinto, sino el vino blanco.
Vino blanco.
Y una bebida muy típica es el rebujito. El rebujito es vino blanco con Sprite o 7-Up.
There's a twist you probably weren't expecting. Sprite or 7-Up. Generally, it's a spritzer kind of thing, to make it a little bit more bubbly.
Con gaseosa, con algún tipo de gaseosa.
Gaseosa, bubbly drink,
En la Feria de Abril, la gente normalmente comen y beben hasta muy tarde. Hasta la noche, hasta muy tarde. A veces hasta la mañana. Sí. Están comiendo y bebiendo.
Closing up in the morning is
mañana.
coming.
Y muchas mujeres van a la Feria de Abril en traje de sevillanas, es muy típico, y los hombres van en traje de cordobés.
Okay, so this is the gentlemen who ride. Generally, the gentlemen will ride either in a cart, but if they dress like this, it's because they are horsemen. Okay, so the people who belong to riding clubs will dress in a specific type of outfit, which is typical to Andalusia as a ceremonial dress. And they'll have the ladies seated behind them on the back. You'll see another video that will show how
Con
they ride.
su sombrero plano.
They got a flat
El
hat.
traje de cordobés antes era un traje típico para montar a caballo, para ir a caballo, ¿no?
People do ride down the street in their horses.
No es una jirafa, es un caballo.
Not a giraffe.
En la feria, durante los días de la feria, se hace una corrida de toros también. Y hay atracciones. También hay atracciones, como en muchas
So they do have
ferias
fair
de España,
activities as well.
hay atracciones. Pero el de la Feria de Abril es el parque más grande de España, el parque de feria, el parque temporal más grande que hay en España. La feria se empezó en 1846.
There's the first year they ever did
Al
that.
principio, cuando empezaron, eran agricultores.
They were farmers
eran
originally. It was a
ganaderos,
farmers
eran
fair.
agricultores, eran ganaderos. Pero ya en 1850
Yeah, now
empezaron a haber tiendas con comida, con bebida. Y en 1859 ya el espacio, había más espacio para fiesta que para el mercado. El mercado era lo menos importante. Y en
The market was the smallest part.
1973 se empezó a usar esta zona, el área actual. Antes se hacía la feria en un recinto, en una zona más pequeña, y se movió
they
al
moved it
sitio
to a
actual,
bigger
que es más
venue
grande, hay más
in
espacio,
73.
en 1973, ¿no? Y en el plano podéis ver que hay la zona de las casetas y hay la zona de las atracciones, del parque de atracciones. Y durante la feria, durante los 7 días de la feria, cada día hay 500.000 personas, 500.000
personas, 500,000 people.
que la van a ver, que visitan la feria. Cada día, 500.000, ¿eh? Cada día
Every day.
500.000. Hay
500,000.
mucha gente, muchas personas. Y este año iba a ser del 26 de abril al 2 de mayo, ¿no? Del 26
Now,
de
this
abril
is
al
not
2 de
this
mayo.
year he is
Pero,
talking about.
bueno, claro, la han cancelado. Ya no va a ser en estas
Yeah,
fechas.
COVID canceled it for
Seguramente,
a number of years.
si
Yeah,
todo va bien,
I
será
believe it is
en
on for this
septiembre.
year.
La harán en septiembre.
In September.
Pero bueno, seguro que la situación mejora muy rápido y nos podemos ver, vosotros y yo, nos podemos ver en septiembre. O si no,
Okay, so that was the change for pandemic year. They pushed it back to the fall, but
Yeah.
I believe it is on for this
September.
month. Yeah, this year, este año. So I'll send you the full thing and a little short, like 3-minute clip that shows you like some typical, a video taken of what it looks to see people riding in the streets and such, because it's just kind of fun. Okay,
Yeah.
todo bien.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
Okay. Excelente. Un poquito de la cultura, a little bit of culture there. So, entonces nos vemos la semana que viene. I will see you guys next week. Bien.
Gracias.
Bien. Bien.
Gracias.
Hasta luego.
Excelente. Nos vemos.
Nos vemos.
Adiós.